Good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin, I want to ask everyone here a question. Have you ever had a moment in school where you felt so exhausted, so overwhelmed, or so anxious you fought the urge not to burst into tears? You stayed up late night after night, finished workbook after workbook, drank cups after cups of coffee. You've put in more time and energy than ever before, yet your results don't improve. Maybe they'd even get worse. If you've ever felt suffocated by this kind of pressure, if you've ever stared at a page late at night and questioned your life, why am I doing this? What on earth is all of this for? Then say this to yourself: you are not alone. Hello everyone, I'm Snow from grade 9 of RDFIS. Today, I'm not here to give you cliches. I'm not here to give motivational blank talks about how you must work hard to achieve success. I just want to discuss something that has been haunting every student in our generation: involution. And more importantly, how we can break free from this mind-corrupting cycle of internal exhaustion and step onto our own path of innovation. Now, since we were young, we've heard the same messages repeated over and over again. Only through hard work can you succeed. The more you endure, the higher you rise. You reap what you sow, etc. These ideas sound correct. They become deeply rooted in our minds and how we treat success in our lives. But I want to ask, does that idea truly reflect the reality? If effort always leads to equal rewards, then why are there so many students sacrificing their weekends, cutting off their social lives, giving up their hobbies, and still unable to reach their goals? Why does it feel like everyone is running forward with everything they have, yet they are running on a treadmill that stays in the same place regardless of what? Doesn't that feel familiar? Because it's real. The truth is, we've fallen into a trap. Blind effort does not equal meaningful growth, and meaningless hard work only leads to self-consumption. In my view, involution is a form of competition where no one actually wins. Everyone works harder, everyone becomes more anxious, but no one truly moves forward. Effort multiplies, pressure skyrockets, exhaustion builds up, yet the reward stays the same. Endless competition results in not growth, but stagnant or diminishing returns. And I've experienced involution myself. Now, last summer, I joined an after-school tutoring math center because I felt my math skills could be improved more for a group science project. It was my first time stepping into an after-school tutoring center for public school kids, and I will never forget what I saw. It was 8 a.m. in the morning on Saturday. The entire building was filled with the voices of teachers. The hallways was bustling with students trying to get in between classes. The waiting area was packed with parents, all sitting silently, their face anxious as if they're watching a silent war. When I stepped into my classroom, there were over 40 students. All kids around my age, all kids who had just started high school. Everyone had their heads down. No one dared to speak. The room felt suffocatingly quiet. And then something shocked me even more. We had just entered our first year of high school, but the teacher skipped all of the basics and immediately started teaching Gaokao exam material, which was an extremely important national exams for students in their last year of high school. The score on that exam directly determines what college they get into. During the class, there were no questions, no discussions, just the sound of pens scratching paper as everyone copied notes mechanically. The teacher spoke faster and faster, and she warned us that if we don't drill these problems in until they become internalized, we will fail. There's no time during the exam, just a few seconds slower and we'll get it wrong. one mistake could put my ranking behind 1,000 students in the entire city. I didn't even finish that class. I left halfway and never went back. Because in that moment, I realized something. We weren't there to learn. We weren't there to understand. We were there out of fear of falling behind. What we were chasing wasn't meaningful growth. It was a rat race. Isn't that heartbreaking? The weekend was supposed to be full of joy and relaxation, yet we are confined to tiny classrooms, digging our head into book piles, unable to escape. It also makes inequality worse. Students from less privileged families can't afford extra expensive tutoring. From the very beginning, they are at a disadvantage. Gaokao, designed to be a path for students from all social strata, becomes even harder. Every parent wants their kids to get into a good college. Every family's hard-earned money gets burnt out on tutoring classes. And guess what? When everyone's taking them, no one actually gains an advantage. The only real winner of involution is the test prep industry. And I thought that this only existed in China until I studied abroad a year in New Hampshire in the States. That's when I realized involution has no borders. As long as everyone is crowded onto the same track, no one can escape the pressure. The students there were so obsessed with their Ivy League admissions and their grades that apart from mandatory athletic training, very few people did after-school activities. When the students there say hi to each other, they don't say, "How are you?" They say, "How many APs are you taking this semester?" Which is truly ridiculous. Academic competition was everywhere. Creative spaces were empty, and I got pulled into that current. I gave up activities I love. I didn't have time to build meaningful relationships, and I couldn't truly relax. Even when I'm not studying, I was just mindlessly scrolling on my phone, trying to fight off the pang of guilt of merely catching a breath outside of school. I was mentally exhausted, and I hated learning. That year taught me something important. Involution doesn't just drain your passion, it destroys your enthusiasm for learning. After I came back to Shenzhen, I made a decision. I would not blindly follow the system anymore. I would step out of it and create my own path. And that is the core idea I want to share today. To break free from involution, we must use our effort in the way of innovation. Think of it this way. There's a red door in front of you, and your objective is to get through that door. But there's 20 students who are trying to squeeze in simultaneously. Now imagine that there is a blue door, a few steps away from the red door, and these two doors lead to the exact same location. More importantly, there's no student standing in front of the blue door. Now, by show of hands, how many of you will be willing to switch to the blue door? Exactly. This example perfectly demonstrates involution versus innovation. Compared to competing in the traditional track and pushing against each other via grades, academic competition, and involution, it is much smarter, less tiring, and way quicker to switch to blue door via competing and focusing in areas outside of school. And guess what? Both of them lead to excellent college admissions. Success is not about who suffers more. It's about who chooses the right direction and applies effort in the correct way. Blind effort is far less valuable than precise effort. We also need to recognize a reality. Grades are important, but they are no longer the only way to success. From a young age, we've been taught that high scores guarantees a decisive win. So we compete relentlessly on grades, on academics, and how close we can get to perfection. But the data tells us a different story. In China, only the 5% of students who took the Gaokao exam are eligible to attend the Chinese 211 universities. And in Guangdong, that gets low as 4%. meaning that out of 100 students, fewer than 5 can go to the very good colleges, and most of them have really good grades. When high scores became the standard, simply grinding for a better score is not enough to break through. True breakthrough doesn't come from repeating what everyone else is doing. It comes from creating values that others don't have. It means redirecting your efforts from chasing blind precision to one word: innovation. For us as students, innovation is quite simple. It comes down to 2 steps: discover and commit. First, discover what you're genuinely passionate about. Not what everyone else is doing. Definitely not what your parents expect, but something you're willing to pursue regardless of the pressure. Second, commit to it. Once you've found your passion, stay focused, build your skills, and demonstrate them through real outcomes. Don't quit halfway and don't follow the crowd. Now, I'm someone who is living by the idea of innovation today. In the past, I was just like many students. I don't know what to focus on, so I sign up for every extracurricular activities I can find. Arts, horseback riding, piano, ice skating, you name it. I learned everything, but enjoyed a little bit of everything. Even when I did accomplish something, it felt like I was just merely completing a task. There were no real joy to it. That changed when I took biology in high school, and I was exposed to the idea of biomanufacturing. That year, I studied how living systems function. I analyzed DNA patterns, I ran gel electrophoresis, and I even got to visit a lab where researchers were attempting to regrow organs to save lives. I was captivated. In that moment, I realized something. Learning could be this enjoying. Knowledge could truly save the world. After that, I left behind my once precision aiming studying and focused all my remaining energy on doing what I love. I strengthened my science foundation, I advanced my math, I learned Python, and I even led a student innovation team that designed a smart pet helmet designed to protect pedestrian safety via reducing pet-aggressive behaviors. That year, I was still busy, but I no longer felt exhausted. Instead, I felt energized on doing things that I love. We took our project to the International Exhibition of Geneva, and we won a gold medal. Now, after that, I was invited to the War and Summer program. I participated in the John Locke seminar. I was again invited multiple times to host global youth climate conferences, and I will soon begin an internship in a university lab this summer. These are not the product of involution. These are not the result of grinding something and chasing perfection, but these are the results of choosing the right direction and innovating with purpose. All of this experience taught me one thing. When you step away from involution, your effort truly becomes meaningful. So to all of you here today, if there's one thing I wish you to take away from my speech, is that involution is a dead end. It drains your youth, erodes your passion, and traps you in the endless cycle of comparison. But innovation is the most powerful path to success. It is the key to growth. So stop being a small fish in a crowded pond. Be the one who dares to step out of the pond. Be the one who finds your passion, builds your skills, and demonstrates them, and advances forward with purpose. Thank you.